1, 2, 3.
The truth is, talent doesn't matter as much as people think. I used to think successful people were gifted until I realized I could outwork them.
I think a good example of that, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but his name's Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's a mouthful, but if you watch basketball, you probably know him. He plays for Milwaukee, the Bucks. Have you ever heard of him?
I have heard the name, but I'm not very familiar with who he is.
So he went really, really late in the draft, and he was like his skill set was very much unpolished. Like he was not a good prospect. He was not drafted in the top 10 like a lot of other people. I think he was drafted like 14. Let me look it up real quick. But he was picked 15th in the draft, and he was not a good prospect at all. And I think that's a really good example because he didn't have the talent. He had to put in a lot of hard work. If you see him in really early pictures of his career, he's a scrawny dude. He's a 7 foot tall, scrawny dude that doesn't really contribute to the game. But like right now, you look at that guy and you're like, hey, that guy's massive. That guy's jacked. That guy has big arms. So he put in a lot of work. He has one of the best footworks in the game. He's one of the best defenders in the game, and I think he's for sure at least top 5 players in the league right now.
Wow.
From being someone that wasn't even picked in the top 10. I think right now a lot of people consider him like top 5 power forward of all time ever. That just goes to show how much hard work can put you on the level of people who are already considered to be talented.
Yeah, and that's why today we will talk about why practice beats talent and how you can use that truth to get ahead of everyone. Let's talk about what people think about gifted people.
I think society very much glorifies talent as like luck. To me, in my head, it's really just a way for people to, it's an excuse to not do more, saying I'm not talented. It's a way to give yourself an excuse to not work harder or not work as hard as you really could.
Yeah, I feel like we all say I'm just not good at that, but in reality, that's just the code for I've never practiced it enough, or I've never done enough reps for me to do that. I know there's like a in psychology, I know there's like a rule of thumb that you need like 10,000 hours in order to become good at something, whether that's soccer, whether that's basketball, baseball, football, whatever sport you think. And there's a lot of debate on like the amount of hours that you need in the psychology world, but
I think it depends on what it is.
the principle is that you need a lot of reps in order to become good at something. We can explain what good practice or deliberate practice is
Yeah.
versus just like.
And I used to play basketball a little bit, not in a team or anything, but pick up basketball. And I wanted to get really good at it. I was really bad at it. I was terrible. So every time the ball got to me, I just passed it out to the best player because I knew if I shot it, I was gonna miss it. And I just started going to the park. I think I was going to the park every day to go shoot the hoop, getting better. And I was looking at a lot of videos because at the beginning, obviously, you're not going to know what to practice or the way to practice it. I think that's a really good thing that we have now with like tools available to us that can help us learn. We have the ability to search things on YouTube, look up tutorials, or see what good practice looks like. Because if you just practice garbage, you're going to get garbage out. Garbage is going to come back out.
100%. I know in the soccer world as well, it's like there's a difference between just like playing a game, just playing the game to play the game, versus actually having intensity in a certain amount or a certain specific type of training. So, for example, I used to play goalkeeper, right? So there, I could have practiced by playing games, but in reality, I would get like maybe 5 saves in total versus in the same amount of time, I could have used a more focused practice on me. So me practicing drills and actually throwing myself and stuff like that. And that was more intense versus just playing a pickup game.
Yeah.
So you have to be really, I guess, deliberate with how you practice because that's how the intensity grows and that's how you grow because you're playing at a faster pace. And
yeah, I think real life examples of that, like going into a game and having that repetition, that makes your brain go into like a serious mode. And I don't know, like you can put that into perspective for sports. Like you want to be in the game, not just in practice, because it's very different feelings. Like
100%.
it's, I think the game is more so mental, the mental conditioning part of it, and that's the only way you can get practice for that. Like for sales, like I feel like the skill level that we were at 2 years ago has nothing to do with where we are now. At the beginning, I was like no skill, very pushy, very much not good. And then over time, as we got more repetitions in, learned what good looks like, we were able to replicate that, do it really bad at first. Maybe we didn't know we were doing it really bad, but then when we noticed we started getting better. We started improving on that. It's just probably the best way to get good at things, and it goes to show that hard work can beat talent, because the people that assume they're talented and don't practice, they don't get better. So they're stuck at a place while you go above them.
100%. And going back a little bit to the deliberate practice, I feel like there's three golden rules that you need to know in order for you to actually take the most that you can from practice. And I've personally done all of them in my life in general, in anything. So rule number one is reps over results. So you want to do more reps than anything else, because that's the actual thing where you actually improve. And by doing it so much times, you kind of realize, you start picking up on cues and patterns versus just doing one rep and then just analyzing that. No, you need to do a lot of reps and then you can analyze after that. So
I think the gym's a really good example for that, for having reps over results. Because for me, when I go to the gym, let's say we go 3 times a week as opposed to 1 time a week, you're going 3 more times than the person that's going just 1 a week. 3 times that. And that just means that, yes, maybe that first week you didn't improve much over them, but over the span of a year or the span of 2 years, that's an extra 100 times that you went to the gym.
Exactly. So very important for you to get reps over results. And then also the feedback, right? So you want to create a feedback loop in the gym. It can be recording yourself doing the exercise and then analyzing right after you leave or whatever, but comparing it to other people that do it, and then see, maybe I need to do this at a certain angle, like how we were looking at the exercise. I forgot what it's called. The one that you lay on your
the upper back, the rows.
there you
chest
go.
supported rows.
I didn't know, and that's why I probably was like running out of breath.
What didn't you know?
That you can put it on your chest versus lowered. So like, for example, there I learned something, and it's actually by accident.
Yeah,
we were talking about that.
It had nothing to do with that. I was just showing you an example of what like a good intro looks like, and
on accident we improved.
It was something that we didn't know.
Yeah, and it was an accident. That was awesome. But imagine if you did it intentionally. What would that look like, right? If you did that with every exercise that you did at the gym, then you'd probably, in like pretty good time, you'd learn how to do every exercise correctly. And then also another rule is the tiny improvement rule. I call it the 1% rule, really. But it's, you're trying to improve. You're not trying to improve 20%, 30, 50. You're trying to improve 1% every single rep, every single day. Sorry, not rep. So for example, using the gym again. Every time you go to the gym, kind of analyze what you did and try and improve or tailor your specific workout plan to what you did and see how you can improve it, even if it's 1%. Even in sales, every day I would go over my day and just be like, all right, what else can I improve? Even if it's 1%, maybe I can say this phrase a little bit different versus this other way. And
I think another example is like in the gym.
It's a lot of examples.
When you're lifting a certain amount of weight and you can't do a lot more, but you can put a 2.5 pound weight on.
That's actually a great example.
And if you do that every day, a 2.5 is nothing pretty much. You don't feel the difference. A lot of the sometimes you'll feel the difference, and maybe it'll be too much, but then you'll start getting better at it. You'll be able to lift that 2.5, and it's the smallest amount of increment. If you do that every time you go to the gym, or every week, or once a month, you will make more progress than most people. The other day I went to the gym, and
I think that's a better example than the one I gave.
I was doing tricep extensions with 110, and then I realized I've been doing that same weight for around 6 or 7 months, I pushed it from 110 to 160, and I could do that. I struggled a lot, but I could do it, and I think that was more my weight.
Very
I think the 110 wasn't challenging my muscles a lot, so I wasn't growing as much as I wanted to. And I made a super big jump one day, and it happened the same when I was doing chest press. I used to do dumbbell bench with 40s.
Mhm.
And then one day I was like, hey, this is kind of easy. I can probably do 30 of these and I'm only doing 12. So I put them back. I grabbed 80s. I went from 40s on each hand to 80s. And yes, I struggled more, but I could do I could do the 12 reps with 80s from going from 40s to 80s. So sometimes you underestimate yourself, but look for those tiny improvements because odds are that you can do a little bit more or even sometimes a lot more when you're underestimating yourself.
That's actually a really good point. Is like make sure you're actually testing your limits, right? Like for
Yeah.
example, there you didn't know that you could do more until you did it. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's like challenging yourself to, all right, let me try this, being a little bit open-minded and open-minded to progress, right? And maybe, all right, maybe not like a huge jump like you
Yeah.
did. That was crazy.
But the amount of chest growth from that was
Yeah, I'm
insane.
pretty sure. Yeah, and maybe you can do like, okay, maybe let me try 45 instead of 40s,
Yeah.
and you'd be surprised. Maybe you can do more, even more than what you thought it was possible. It was just that mental block that was stopping you from growing. Why again? This mindset does really change everything. Even if you're doing it again, you're improving 1% every single day. Even if it's every week in the year, imagine what that's going to look like. You're going to be 50% better, right? If you're improving 1% a week, you're going to be 52% better by next year. So imagine how that can stack up and just you can build something really really nice out of that. And our story, do you have a perfect story to
Going from a talent mindset into a practice mindset,
right?
yes, 100%. When I was working in inbound sales, there was not a single day that practice crossed my mind until I was ready to leave that place because I thought I was talented, which wasn't really the truth.
Mm.
I was just talking to the right people the right way on complete accident, mind you, and I was able to replicate it on accident. It was that in particular was strictly luck because there was no practice that I did. Towards the end of me working there, I met this guy. To this day, I'm certain that he's the best salesperson I've met ever. His approach, he taught me about neuro-emotional persuasion questions, which is a way that you question prospects to think and to agree with you without being pushy or challenging them because that's a turnoff to a lot of buyers. And he taught me that, and that's the moment that I realized the gap between me and him, me thinking I had talent and him having as much practice as he did, learning, reading, and actually consuming knowledge on that. That's the moment where I had that moment, like
Realization.
it was kind of yeah, the switch flipped. It was like I'm not doing enough. I'm like there's people that can beat what a lot of people consider talent, which I think it's just dumb luck that you're able to replicate, that you learn how to replicate by practicing more. And that makes you unstoppable. As I said, that guy. I'm so sure he's the best salesperson I've ever met in my life.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I had an example just like that one. Like in Allstate, when I used to work in Allstate,
Yeah.
my very first sales job, now that I think about it, I was really good at it, and it didn't happen overnight. When I first started, I wasn't sure what I was doing. I was just My manager was just telling me, "Hey, follow the script. It's an objection, overcome it, and keep overcoming it until they say yes." So that was all, and I was just doing that, just going at it. But eventually, I did so many reps that I was able to recognize some patterns that my manager wasn't able to make me see before. And
Practicing gives you a different light.
exactly, you get a new perspective. And when I started recognizing those cues, and I was like, okay, maybe I can say this different versus how he told me, and maybe that works for him, but maybe it doesn't for me. And so I started doing that, and yeah, I mean, it took a couple months, and I was already pretty a top performer at the agency. But then after I left, right, because I didn't know enough to know that I was actually doing the reps versus talent. So I thought I was talented as well. I was like, I'm just so good at this. But in reality, now that I think about it and go back, I'm like, it was the reps that I did because I was the one that stayed. We left like at 6 p.m. and I was the one leaving at 8 or 9 p.m. with my manager, and that's what got me to be good. And now that I realize, I'm like, maybe if I would have been a little bit more humble and understood that I was doing just more reps and that I wasn't really as talented as other people,
You're just learning.
maybe I would have done even more. Maybe
Yeah.
I would have been #1 performer in the agency. Yeah, it's just that a little bit of thought.
I think we talked about this the other day too. I was telling you that I wish I was more talented at certain things, and you kind of changed my perspective on that. And you were like, I don't really believe in people being more talented. They just have more reps. And then that's kind of how we thought of the idea to talk about this. I think one of the points that I made was, hey, what if some people just have that higher baseline? Like they just genetics, whether it be genetics or their brain just clicks with a certain thing by straight luck.
So
I
he
think
asked
that's
me,
talent, yeah.
yeah, so he asked me, what do I think about talented people? And I was like, all right, well, let's reverse engineer this. What do you mean by talented people? And I believe you said that it's people that just start with more attributes that fit that specific skill.
I think the better way to put it that I said is very much like they learn this specific skill faster. They have a faster rate of learning.
Oh, like
that
faster?
skill.
It's a little different now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was the point, and he was challenging me on that. So he was playing devil's advocate on that. So I don't think you believe that. Internally.
That there are certain people that learn faster. I most certainly believe that.
Okay, and I was the opposite. Just based off of experience, I was like, well, I think someone, yes, can be talented or have more attributes to that specific skill that will make them, maybe be a little bit better. But I don't think it's a huge gap. I think practice matters way much.
The consensus is that
much more.
Yes, you can have a higher rate of learning. However, if you practice less than someone with a lower rate of learning, you'll still be outclassed eventually. I think, but that's pretty much it. I think that's a good way to put it.
Or end it.
Yeah.
Because there's a good saying that a person that I used to work with told me is that talent opens the door, but practice kicks it or brings it down.
Practice kicks it. That's good.
Yeah, and I thought that was a good saying. But what I would say, if you're watching this and you're like, well, that sounds really cool, but how can I apply it to my life? If you're, whether it be work or you want to start going to the gym or you just want to be a better person overall, because honestly, you can apply this to anything, literally. I would say just look at what you're doing, just document what you're doing. And if you really, really don't know what you can improve on, then watch other people that are doing the same thing at a higher level and compare both. And you're gonna start realizing there's gaps and there's patterns and cues that you can use to improve your situation or your skill.
And comment down below, like if you have and know what you're going to do, leave a comment, put what one skill that you want to practice this month, like the thing that you want to get better at and become quote unquote talented at through your own practice. Comment it down. I think putting it into the world and actually saying it can make a big difference.
If you really, really want to do this, comment below and we'll put you on the next video and we'll make sure to give you some feedback if you want any feedback.
Yeah. And if this video helped a little bit, hit the subscribe button.
Like,
we do videos like this every week. Drop a like.
Comment if you just want to comment just to comment something, then go for it.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's pretty much it from my side.
Well, we'll catch you guys next week then.
Bye.
Bye.